Oh, howdy all, grab yourselves a beer, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Today I wanted to put together a guide to killing Drox the Warlord, one of the 5 Conquerors of the Atlas, and a boss that you'll start encountering from about maybe an hour and a half after you kill Katava at the end of Act 10, and you'll continue to then encounter him approximately once every 40 or 50 maps after that. Drox, plenty of good reasons to kill him. One of the reasons is that he is one of the gatekeepers of Cirrus, who also he can drop Warlord's Exalted Orbs if you're very lucky, or if you're less lucky, he can drop the Divination card for the Corrupted Inspired Learning Jewel, and a whole lot of Warlord influenced items. Anyway, Drox is fought in an arena that we'll see in a second. In fact, I can step in there because he won't activate immediately. This is shaped like a big cross sign. So it's either a cross or a sideways plus, depending on how you like to think of it. So there's 4 different areas, plus there's a central area. Drox himself has short-range melee attack that does devastating damage for an auto attack. It's a very slow attack, and so it's one you can easily see coming and easily get the way out of. With most bosses, you don't need to dodge their auto attack. With Drox, it's a bit different. If your character's squishy, as mine is, with basically no armor and basically no evasion, just with a bit of a life buffer, the first hit won't kill you, but 2 hits in a row can. So essentially, the first one puts you into emergency use a flask right now territory. For that reason, you're going to want to generally be circling him. He also picks up new abilities as the fight progresses. He has a slam attack, which you'll see many times during this, where he'll cry out something like I am the law, or weight of law, and then a sort of big judging thumbs up, thumbs down sign will appear above your character. That will then smash down into the ground for devastating physical damage. You really want to get the hell out of the way of that, but it's pretty easy to avoid. Additionally, he has a number of other attacks where he'll make an entire region of the map, so perhaps it could be from here down to the end, where there'll be a bunch of rocks that will appear on both sides, and then they'll cross over the hallway. If you see that, you're going to want to use your fast movement skills. In my case, it's Flame Dash. For you, it might be something else, to just get out of that quadrant of the map entirely. The main thing, though, that is a key to this fight is that there's 3 main phases. So you'll see all of his key attacks; they won't change. He will continually drop banners throughout the fight, and then there is a central phase where he is almost invincible. So the banners. If Drox is inside one of the banners, he will take massively less damage from anything that you can do to him. If he's inside 2 of them simultaneously, he becomes completely invincible. This includes damage over time effects that you might already have had on him before he gets into that position of being affected by the intersection of 2 banners. For that reason, this is actually not a DPS race, as a lot of people think. This fight is a damage projection check. The goal is not so much to deal as much damage to Drox as quickly as possible. It is to deal as much damage as possible to multiple targets simultaneously. Basically, you want to be killing the banners quickly when they come up. Especially if they're anywhere near Drox. So if Drox is near a banner, ideally you want to be firing attacks that hit Drox and also simultaneously hit all the nearby banners at once. So this means that if you're playing a projectile build, what you want to do, if you have a 6-link setup for damage, so if I'm trying to do single target, here's my 6-link setup. Combustion, Fireball, Val Fireball, Ignite Proliferation, Awaken Burning Damage, Swift Affliction, and Deadly Ailments. What I will do against Drox is I'd actually, this should be not Awaken Fork, it should be Awaken Chain. But I will use some sort of chaining skill, some sort of projectile spread effect. Now I'm going to do this fight with Awaken Fork, but it would probably actually be stronger if I was using just a level 1 chain gem just straight from the vendor. The key there is that you want to be hitting, with the same attack, you want to be hitting Drox himself so that you're preventing his energy shield from recharging, but you also want to be burning down those banners as fast as possible so that your damage can start actually affecting Drox again. Lastly, there is a lot of trash in this fight. Drox will constantly summon trash monsters. They will enter from the 4 sort of ends of the arena. So they'll be down here. I can actually walk down here and show you this. They'll enter through this archway, and as this way is a four-directional symmetry, four-way symmetrical arena, they'll enter from the same spots on the other sides. These NPCs, these trash mobs are where you're going to get flask refills during the fight. They're also surprisingly dangerous. They hit hard. If you've got a lot of armor on your character, that will actually be a lot less important, and you can pretty much ignore those trash mobs. But if, like most characters, you don't have much of armor and you don't have much evasion, you're going to take considerable damage from them, and they're actually probably the bigger danger in the fight. So Drox has big attacks that you must dodge at all costs, but the trash mobs will be what whittle you down. If you die, usually it'll be because you're dodging one of Drox's big attacks, so you get out of Drox's way, and then the trash mobs finish you off. So let's start the fight at this point, and when we get to the middle, when we get Drox down to about 2/3 of his health, there'll be a new phase I'll discuss then. So you can prepare damage any way that you prefer to do so. Now that's his auto attack, and you'll see it's a slow wind up animation, and there's his banners. Just his act of summoning the banners is painful. Like I took a lot of damage when one of them landed on me because I didn't react quickly enough. You'll notice here that I'm both hitting Drox and also trying to do damage to the banners. That was his slam. So I'm constantly moving around. Occasionally I'm stuffing up. He's not as damaging as... like his default attack hurts a lot, but it's not game over if you get hit. That's his Weight of Law attack. That's the slam. That is a one-shot for most builds. Here he goes with one of his telegraphed attacks that hits an entire side. And now we've got him down to 2/3. At this point, he has a shield up. A lot of players can't figure out what to do at this phase. What you have to do at this phase is actually just still ignore his shield. He's going to take massively less damage from your hits, but you just need to keep beating him down. So the reason that I'm hitting the trash mobs is not because that speeds up the completion of the fight. It's because I've already got damage over time on Drox, and I'm just trying to keep myself safe by dealing with the trash so that they're not in my way. They're doing small physical damage hits, but those hits really do add up. So I'm taking a lot of damage, and I'm playing quite defensively, actively dodging as many of the attacks as I can, and trying to keep damage on Drox all the time. Depending upon the type of build you're playing, it can be very difficult to hit Drox during this phase for long, because you're constantly evading all the trash mobs. Again, armor helps a lot, as does evasion. Energy shield builds will have a harder time here because you're going to have to regenerate your health somehow. And for builds like mine that don't really stack any defenses and just rely upon a bit of a life buffer, it's much worse. You'll notice that the banners spawned on top of me there. I had a little bit of warning that was coming, and that attack really does. That's one you're meant to dodge. I stuffed that up. But when the banners spawn on top of you, you will take considerable damage at that point. You should dodge them, but it's not a catastrophe if you fail to. Again, I'm just trying to bring down the number of banners, because when Drox is inside the intersection of two of them, I can't hurt him at all, and I can't even prevent his energy shield recharging. Constantly zapping around. Now you'll see his shield is down. At this point, it's not that much left in the fight. If that had crit, that would have killed me. There's not much left in the fight at this point. It's just a matter of completing it. That's his one where he makes one Octant dangerous. And that's really all there is to it. It's a complex fight. The key to it, though, is recognizing that your goal is not to just keep beating Drox all the time. It is to project damage simultaneously to Drox and as many of the banners as you can. And also you need to find some solution that works for your character as to how to handle the trash. Now, on a area of effect damage over time build like I'm playing, your best bet is, as I did, to continually just hit the trash once and then run on. That's not an option for a lot of builds. If your build can one-shot the trash mobs, fantastic. You should do so. You should just go, okay, I'm going to hit Drox, turn around, throw one attack at this pack of mobs, then go back to Drox. Otherwise, you want to see if you can endure the trash mobs damage. If you can, then fantastic. Just rely upon your character's life leech and just go straight at Drox, dodge Drox's big attacks, and any big buttons that you've got, such as the ability to hit a Vile Ground Slam perhaps, which will stun every monster near you, save those for if Drox catches you off guard with one of his big attacks. But the key takeaways from this: when the banners spawn on top of you, get out of them as quickly as you can because they're going to hurt. It's not a one-shot, but it will hurt you a lot. Drox's baseline attack, that just his frontal default attack, is easy to dodge and does devastating damage, so dodge it if you can. If your character's super tanky, don't worry about it, you can just face tank. When Drox has his telegraphed overhead thumbs down slam, which usually is accompanied by the chant, "The weight of law," you want to move away from where you are right now. And during the middle phase, DPS Drox. Drox and the banners. Don't worry about the trash. There's no benefit, no advancing the fight that you gain by killing all the trash simultaneously. There's no way to turn Drox's shields off except to just keep up the damage on him. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you've got any comments or questions, fire away below. Otherwise, I hope you have a good one.